idea to become your own entrepreneur. The advent of the smart system, where the Square Incorporated, where you can take payment now through your own smartphone, has really changed the landscape of what an individual entrepreneur can do. Last year, it took over $15 billion worth of transactions. Then you look at the technology that's available. Ford partnered with an organization called TechShop, which is just down the street from here, but it gives you access to these high engineering, extremely capable technology that people couldn't afford on an individual level, and now you can make things. In fact, it's my understanding that the Square was developed at TechShop. But 3D printing is making things much more accessible. You will have garage innovators, tinkerers, and this untapped potential is just in its infancy and is still reaching a $3 billion market value in the worldwide. And my favorite, though, comes from Amazon, who recently said that maybe someday these packages won't be delivered by individuals, but once reserved military drones will drop them on your doorstep. So what do you think about this quiet riot of innovation? Let me start with, what's your favorite innovation in the marketplace that you think will shape the landscape?
Yeah, and I would say mine probably is a little biased coming from the Facebook guy, but connectivity in general and the impact that we see that having across the world, and in so many events that now play out publicly, and the fact that only a third of the globe is connected. Right now, there's so much potential for so much more growth, and for people around the world to be connected. The reason we see them wanting to do that primarily, mobile obviously enables a lot of that at scale, and it also enables them to connect with family and friends. So that does become very close to our mission, but it's just fascinating to watch and fascinating to see what that actually opens up for the world.
And it's my understanding there's something like 5 billion phones in the marketplace today in a population of 7 billion, which is particularly ironic when you consider 2 billion people don't have access to toilets or regular sanitation, but phones are becoming more proliferate than toilets. It's really kind of a odd time. So we'll see how that'll play out. Debbie, what about you?
I would definitely pick big data. I think you see a lot of it. It's on the cover of a lot of magazines, but it is very, very real. And what we're starting to watch in some of the companies we're getting to work with, it's going to be a game changer, because it's the ability to turn really, we've had come up with a new term. We used to talk about terabytes of data, now it's zettabytes of data. And it's the ability, because of the reduction in the cost of storage and the cost of the speed of computing, to now be able to ingest massive amounts of information, but not look at it backwards looking, to be able to give real-time, relevant, individualized insights. And that will change all of our lives in a very significant way.
Will it guide the drones to my door?
Absolutely.
And I just want to make sure the drones deliver the right stuff at the right time.
I think it was a PR stunt. What do you think?
I think it's a PR stunt.
So what's your favorite innovation?
I'm really interested in the way that around the world, young people in particular want to make their own things rather than buy off the shelf, right? And so I got involved in a product called Kano, K-A-N-O. And our idea was to use a technology which was invented in at Cambridge University at the science park there, called the Raspberry Pi, which you may have heard about, right? And so the brilliant thing about the innovation there is partly it's that there's some kind of financial innovation going on that I don't understand. But they create the Raspberry Pi and they have an IP, so they just own the idea of the Raspberry Pi, am I correct?
Yeah.
So what we did was we licensed the Raspberry Pi, which is like this tiny little microprocessor, and put together a computer kit which you can retail for around $99. So that was kind of interesting. But the bigger idea is what I call the majority world, which is out there, the next 5 billion people want to get on the internet, they want to do important things. And so we put out the notion that this was a kit for the entire world. So now you don't have to wait for Apple to produce a $2,000 laptop. You can actually make a $99 computer, and we ship it with Linux, and we ship it with with YouTube and stuff like that. And we went onto Facebook 3 weeks ago, not Facebook, sorry, Kickstarter 3 weeks ago with a goal of raising $100,000 to then ship these $99 kits. And it just this week passed $1,100,000. And if you have a look at the people who are sending the money or signing up for the kits, they're from all over the world. And we work with Code Academy in New York, and they're working with the Indonesians. And so there's this innovation around enabling people to make their own things, of which Kano is a great example. So you can go and have a look at Kickstarter. It closes in 7 days. You can get your own
Well,
Kano.
and to that point, I would say Kickstarter is,
Kickstarter's
probably one of the most
amazing.
interesting
Totally
innovations in the
agree.
marketplace, because it's changed the whole equation about how you go to market and who can go to market.
Right.
So all of this innovation is wonderful, but does it have a potential downside? I mean, for instance, one of the things that I think about is that if technology advances so rapidly, it becomes more affordable. And I think about televisions. So if I wanted the fancy 4K television that was shown at CES last January, maybe I'll wait till next December when it becomes more affordable. But as it becomes more affordable, it'll now compete against the 5K or the 6K or the 7K. So could innovation actually keep people out of the marketplace?
I don't know, Apple's got me addicted. I fall for it every single time.
It's good.
I know, because you were at
People get anxious about this, but it doesn't seem to have a negative impact. I mean, it is unnerving to see rich people get a lot of cool stuff and poor people not get enough good stuff. That's unnerving, but that's a social issue, I think. I think innovation in and of itself is innovation. It works at a certain pace. I think there are other issues that current kinds of innovation are revealing. When we talk about big data, we also talk about privacy. Right. So privacy is going to become one of the most important social concepts in our lives. It will. That's because of innovation. So there's upside, drones delivering pizzas. And there's a downside, which is the wrong people know too much about me. And so there are downsides, but it's like there was a downside in making the motor car, there was a downside in making the airplanes.
Well, that highlighting that tension is a great segue to our next trend, which is old school. And so old school is this kind of timeless draw that universally brings us back to things the way they used to be. We all have this very romantic idea about the past, and sometimes it's glossed over by memory, it's not always accurate, but we seem to really appreciate the thought that things used to be simpler, gentler, kinder. And perhaps that's relevant because of the context of this dramatic disruption and how globalized the world is becoming, the pace of change around us. If you were to apply this to the consumer market, we know that 74% of adults would say that worldwide that it's hard to find products that are truly special. And that if you were to compare that to vintage goods, 82% of Americans say, well, those are the things, that's when things used to be really special, when goods had real character, they had some legacy or some meaning. But this isn't just about products. We have people using, social media platforms. 63 million pictures are tagged through Throwback Thursday, where people put up embarrassing photos of bad hairdos, about things that used to be. What is it that explains this timeless draw of nostalgia? Why does it have universal appeal to us?
I think it's nostalgia is something that, plays out personally amongst connecting, like you said, Throwback Thursday, and the old photos are, you sort of freeze when you see them, right? You're like, oh, what do I look like in that? But then you have sort of, there's any sort of feeling that you have that's sort of special, right? And we even see it play out with some of the brand work. I promise not to be just cheerleading for Ford here, but it happened to be last week when the Mustang was really revealed, and we saw the stories that were shared on Instagram about people's feelings about the Mustang. To me, were startling. I worked with lots of companies on Facebook, and I've rarely seen that kind of passion. Somewhere where it really draws you in, and I suddenly now have even a greater sort of feeling about the brand. So those are examples that I've seen that are special. I think even we worked on Small Business Saturday with American Express years ago, and this nostalgia of consumers connecting with the mom and pop store in their neighborhood was special for them, and everybody really rallied around that because it felt like they had lost touch with that and didn't have sort of that personal connection with the store owner that they think of in the past. So those are things that we see lots of passion about in our world.
I think there's also this kind of universal collective experience or emotion. Right before we came out, we were talking about how our parents and their pride often butcher our accomplishments and inflate them to astronomical levels. And there was something reassuring that all of us had kind of experienced at one point in our life. So, Debbie, what are your thoughts? Who do you think is playing well in the place of nostalgia brands?
My favorite example of this one is Shinola. I am so stoked about this product. I'm really sorry, Alan, but the coolest car commercial ever made was the M&M Chrysler commercial. And I grew up here, and when I saw that commercial, I mean, it's choking me up just talking about it. You wanted to stand up and say, yeah, that was made in Detroit. And what I think is really cool about what Shinola's done is they've gone back and tapped heritage from Switzerland, but the concept of precision, but made in Detroit, made it cool, based themselves, in Midtown or down in, the center area. And they are doing a phenomenal job, and these products are hot. So could there be a better time to be proud about something great to be excited about in Detroit? So it's a really cool, to me, way of mixing something new, but, going back to roots. And there's so many amazing roots here in this city, so I thought that was a wonderful example.
Mm-hmm. Chris, what about you? What brands do you think are doing well in the nostalgia space?
Pope Francis. A religious leader apparently is kind of a decent guy. That's like a throwback to bygone age, maybe. My response is maybe kind of not quite on brief, but I think a lot of the feelings people have about products and services are driven by the desire to have really great quality, stories they understand, people they can sort of relate to. And as we cruise towards the end of the mega mass market, that was lost. It was just lost. So you see some kind of energy around, particularly amongst the young, bringing that back. So the best way to bring that back is to look back, right? And so whether it be a mom and pop shop or whether it be a car that somehow continues a story that was started in the 50s or all of those kind of things. So I'm not convinced that it's purely about nostalgia. I think we've been through a period of consumer history where we dropped the ball. And a lot of people were buying relatively affordable but not very good products. And that was certainly true in the car industry. And so they're seeking a better connection to higher quality stories I understand. And so they tend to have to look back in order to do that.
To find the meaning.
So I think that's how I relate to that. So I've not got a specific brand for you. I too love the Chrysler, but the Pope was quite a good start as a ex-Catholic.
So let's move on to vying for validation. So we are in the era of individuality, right?